Welcome to Time Traveling Team, the podcast where we review every story of Doctor Who right from the very beginning. I'm Tricia.
And I'm Paddy. In this week's special Rambling in the TARDIS, it is time for us to say goodbye to the Sixth Doctor. As always, we will be discussing the Sixth Doctor's strengths and weaknesses, as well as our picks for his best and worst episodes.
We'd also love to hear your thoughts on Colin's Doctor and his time in the TARDIS, so as always, to join the discussion, you can check us out at Time Teamp. That is TIMETEAMP on basically all the different socials. Or you can email us at timetravelingteep@teepproductions.com. So, Paddington.
Yes, Tricia.
We say this every time, and we literally just said it last time for Perry, but for those of you who randomly pick this to be your first episode, the way this works is at the end of a Doctor and or Companion's run, we take an episode just to talk about that Doctor or Companion in isolation.
Yes.
And the key things that we do, as we mentioned in the intro, is we talk about the weaknesses of the character, we talk about the strengths of the character, and then we talk about what we think are the worst episodes and the best episodes. Generally speaking, when we talk worst and best episodes, we mean for the character.
Yeah.
So there could be a really amazing episode, but for the character it was kind of shit. Or there could be a really bad episode, but for the character it was actually really good.
Yes.
And so we tend to go with for the character side of things.
Sometimes it does match up, though.
Yeah, sometimes it does.
Yeah.
Sometimes shit is good. So, last time we did Perry. This time we're doing the Doctor. So I'm going to give you a slight spoiler.
Okay, then.
I haven't written my best episodes. Because I can't pick.
You can't pick in a good way, or you can't pick in a bad way.
I'm really struggling to rank them.
Right.
And we'll get to when we talk about best. I'll talk in generals. Like, so what I think we should do, because I tried so hard to actually write proper notes for this, and I couldn't, right? So what I'm going to suggest we do when we get to the best episodes, because I have some worst ones.
Yeah.
Which is fine. When we get to the best ones, if you list your 3, and I'll say if there's anything else I would have put into the mix. And then we can talk about your 3 and if there was anything else I put into the mix.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because, because fuck you, I also struggled with this. So I don't know if I would have finished the list.
I got to say it first.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. Like, I have a couple that are sort of totter around in there, but I actually just found it really hard.
Okay.
And I think as we go through the strengths and weaknesses of Colin's Doctor, I think it'll become obvious why I struggled with it.
Can I break protocol on this particular?
You can.
Okay. So, at the end of a Doctor's time on the show, we then rank him against his predecessors.
Yes.
So, the current rankings are very similar for myself and Tricia. I think they're the exact same, which is Bill Hartnell, the first Doctor, is number 1. Eking out our previous favourite, Tom Baker, number 4. Then John, the third Doctor. Then Patrick, second Doctor. And then bringing up the rear and putting in a solid effort is the fifth Doctor.
Really? Solid effort?
I'm trying to be nice, okay? He's there. Where does Colin sit for you? Because I don't think I can wait to the end of this episode to find this out.
Okay.
For people that haven't been following us the whole time, I have liked Colin's Doctor always have. But Tricia's never seen any of his stuff before now.
Yeah.
So
currently,
yep,
on this particular day, at this particular time, he has eked out John.
Ooh.
However, I think that may be something that just fluctuates depending on my mood.
Yeah.
Because, like, John does have an entire season with Liz and an entire season with Sarah Jane.
Yeah.
So, where he was mostly solid in both of those seasons. Yep. It's just his seasons with Joel were
flip-flop.
Yeah. So, as of today, right this moment, he's currently in the 3 spot. But I think him and John could kind of flip-flop, depending on what we're comparing and my general mood.
Yes.
So I would say that it's Bill, Tom, joint third for John and Colin, fourth for Brain,
Patrick,
and sixth for Peter.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I did deliberately jump from 4 to 6.
Yeah.
On purpose.
Yes. People are going to think this is rigged. So, yeah, he is. I think he is joint third for me as well, from what we've seen so far, because I will get into it more when we talk about the strengths and weaknesses side of things. But I won't say anything. I won't talk about Peter on this one because people know my thoughts on him already. When it comes to Patrick, the second Doctor has an awful lot of flaws and some that really bug the shit out of me, but I still quite like him at times.
Yeah.
Colin's Doctor, though, is intriguing to me because he's designed to be an asshole at times. Whereas Patrick is, the second Doctor is an asshole just because of the shit he does, but he's still the cosmic hobo or whatever. Colin's Doctor is meant to be an asshole, and he portrays himself as an asshole. And I have a lot of respect for that, but it also makes him a very interesting character. I think comparatively speaking, the short run that he had versus the run of Patrick, I think he ekes him out for me a bit. When it comes to John, though, I think I'm on the flip side of you at the moment, where they are joint, but I think John would take the ascendancy more than Colin would, if that makes sense. Yeah, so that's where I am at the moment.
Cool. Tune in next time when
yeah.
Just kidding. Cool. So I think this is probably when we said this at the beginning, so I listened back to our discussion on these episodes to try and help me figure out what I wanted to do. And we had said, I think it was in Cybermen.
Yep.
Or else it was in Forever Words. It was in one of them. We had said, I am not looking forward to having to do these for the Rambling.
I think so. I think what I had said for Cybermen was, if it's a performance thing, Colin as a performer, this is fucking impossible.
Yeah.
If it comes down to the stories, though, we've got some good material.
Yeah. Well, stories come later. First we do weaknesses and strengths. So I will get to go first. So I'm going to preface this with a weakness of Colin's Doctor in the public zeitgeist.
Yes.
Which is, I think Colin's Doctor has a reputation that we have discussed is undeserved.
Yep, absolutely.
That would have other people put him in the bottom of the ranking. And a lot of that goes back to, I mean, part of me is like, are you just media illiterate? Some of you. Not to be a fucking asshole, but like, that's the way it comes across sometimes. Like, well, if you've actually watched these episodes, like we did, you would have seen X, Y, and Z explanation for A, B, and C behavior. But I think Colin, more so than anyone else to date, maybe Peter comes close, but Peter had more episodes, so it's not as obvious, really suffers from very poor management of the show.
Yeah.
Whether that was Jonathan Turner, whether it was Eric, whether it was the writers, whether it was somebody else higher up. I think coming into Colin, I wouldn't say I was cautious. I was excited because I have met Colin as an individual. I've met him in person on a few occasions, and he's lovely. And I was very interested to see what his doctor would be like. But I had heard all of the horrible things beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that taints Colin's doctor in a way that's totally undeserved.
Oh, hugely. Hugely.
So I do want to preface the actual list of weaknesses I have by saying, again, to the random person who picked this episode to start, hello, welcome, weird choice, that we're listing these weaknesses having watched all of us.
Yep.
This isn't just us reading the Cliff Notes version.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So for me, I think the weaknesses of Colin's doctor are largely weaknesses that get overcome over time if you ignore the resets.
Yeah.
As in, they're weaknesses that were intended to be resolved over time. So his lack of social finesse and his arrogance, I think, particularly in his earlier episodes, he just is emotionally unstable for an obvious reason. He's paranoid. He's violent towards Perry, which we have discussed. And then he can, in other stories, I say in Cybermen, he can be very dismissive and sort of lacking in that sort of like read the room type of thing. So I think that is a weakness of him at the beginning. And it ties into the fact that he can be quite insensitive without meaning to be. And he can make some really cutting remarks. And there's a couple of examples I'll give in my least favorite stories as to what those examples are. So those two things kind of go together. And for the most part, they're things that are designed to be overcome. Because, again, reminder for everyone, and we discussed this when we discussed Twin Dilemma, Colin's doctor comes in off the back of what was probably the most violent and traumatic regeneration we've seen to date. This wasn't, I think I said at the time, it wasn't Hartnell just growing old. It wasn't Patrick being indignant at a forced regeneration under controlled circumstances. Like the Time Lords were doing it. We knew that it would be fine, and he knew it would be fine too. It wasn't 3 effectively dying and Choji sort of giving him that bump into 4. And it wasn't 4 kind of becoming one with his future self.
Yeah.
This is a very traumatic experience, and that trauma carries over and could be seen as weakness. Whereas actually it's just character. But, we call it out for other doctors, so we have to call it out for Colin as well. I think the other weakness that Colin has, and as Colin's doctor has, not Colin the person, Colin's doctor has, is, it ties in with all of that, is how he reacts under pressure. 9 times out of 10, he tends to become volatile, either in the way he speaks or whatever. If you take example, his reaction to everything at the trial, everything was leaping out of his seat. Everything was a big reaction. And when you're watching it, that gets really annoying. Do you know? And the fact that particularly in trial, which, I mean, listen to that 2 weeks ago's episode if you want to hear my thoughts on fucking Trial of a Time Lord. But particularly in trial, he reduces himself down to name calling. And I'm like, come on. Like, you're a smart man. Like, bring it up. So, for me, the weaknesses in Colin tend to be the more personal ones. Largely surrounding his arrogance, his lack of fucking social awareness. It's not even social fit. It's like just the lack of being able to read the room. and how volatile he can get. And that leads into him being quite insensitive at times and quite blunt. However, I'm just going to reiterate again, those are designed character flaws.
Yeah.
That tell a story. It's quite an interesting one. So those are mine. How about you?
All right. So first thing I want to say is that I don't think I will be bringing up the twin dilemma in this particular rambling. Outside the fact that I want to say that, look, it is a great opening performance by Colin. I think it is a very interesting avenue to take a Doctor on their first regeneration story. And it's a story that is, I think, given a dog's amount of abuse, undeservedly so. Like, it's always said, oh, it's the worst episode ever. I'm going, no, it is absolutely not the worst story. And I think it is shorthand for, it's been used for shorthand for like, oh, bad 80s Doctor Who, bad classic Doctor Who, or even just like outside of the fandom, it's, oh God, look at this terrible show, you know? So I won't be bringing up the twin dilemma. I've always said, look, give it a shot. I think you'll actually be pleasantly surprised. You'll enjoy it and you'll see how good Colin is as a performer. Now, the Doctor, as the weaknesses go for him, is he has a very grandiose way of carrying himself that comes across as quite patronizing. And there are times where I'm like, oh, shut up, you prat. So there's like, I love seeing the way that he acts, but there are times like just like the pompous nature of him just going, oh, shut up. And that grandiose nature also comes with like this flair for dramatic, which can be fun at times, but then like when he has the grandiose nature, which leads into the dramatic flair, and he's like, woe is me, like I'm too clever and I'm too awesome to die, and this is a horrible fate for someone like me to have. And then again, I'm like, oh, shut up, you prat. I mean, it's like just going, will you fucking pull yourself together? So yeah, like he takes himself way too seriously, and I think he buys in so much into his own bullshit that his meltdowns are so just childlike and petulant and cringy. So yeah, his ego is just unchecked at times, and it's very. There are times where you get the giggle, but it wears thin very fast when that's used for like the 15 or 20 minutes of a 40-minute episode, you know?
Yeah.
The major one, though, which is also kind of my main last one, is the unnecessary callous and mean way he treats Perry at times. Because whatever way he interacts with companions of the week or story bait or like, you know, side characters of the week, sometimes with Perry, it's like, what the fuck are you doing? And like, it's an easy answer to say, blame it on the writers, because, and I do blame it on the writers, because as we've said repeatedly, there is like a reset, I think, post Mark of the Rani, which is like, no, they were good, they were buddies. Why are you having them act like a fucking prick to her again and again and again and again? But I can't blame it entirely upon the writers, because it's technically the character doing that. So like when Perry calls him an asshole, mouths the word asshole to him in the two Doctors, I fully support her for that. And I said in our rambling, I fully support her for doing that, because in his post regenerative haze, where he is the person that he is, it's like you were solid, so why do you need to still fucking belittle her? She knows like how to like, and is it because like, you know, you don't like the fact that she knows how to get under your skin or call you out on stuff? You don't like that, so you're immediate, like when she says that didn't work, did it? Or I thought you said you fixed it, or like your immediate thing is to basically like call her simple, or for some reason call her fat, or just like treat her like a child. I don't get it. And it's a really, really frustrating thing to do because like it all comes good in the end and you see the nice parts of it, but I don't have to like go through this continual cycle of where you fucking treat her like shit for the first 10, 15 minutes of a story.
Usually while they're in the TARDIS.
Usually when they're in the TARDIS. Yeah, usually when they're in the TARDIS. And then it's nowhere near as bad as Tegan and the Fifth Doctor. Damn it, I said I wouldn't talk about him. But it's nowhere near as bad as that. But just because I like Colin a lot doesn't mean I'm going to forgive it here, and I'm not. It's a major flaw in the Sixth Doctor.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree. Let's move on to his strengths, though.
Yes.
So I have a few. One in particular that I have to call out, because it's a strength of the Doctor and is also a strength of Colin's performance, is he is very charismatic, even when he's being annoying. He has a really he's present. And again, not to constantly rattle him, but that's where Peter was missing it.
Yeah.
Colin in character, like Colin in how he's portraying the character, but also the Doctor is present in every moment he is in, which is great. And it allows him to sort of draw attention when needed. Do you know? Because sometimes he plays Goat, do you know what I mean? While Perry's off doing something else. It allows him to do that. I think the other ones I have for him is he is very intelligent. And I like the way we get a couple of really good deductions from him. Like in Cybermen with the whole Halley's Comet thing. And even the two doctors. Like he's the one figuring shit out, which I really quite like. He has really good, and this is where his weaknesses, you're kind of going, but he has those weaknesses, so how is this a strength? He does really have strong moral conviction. And he's very outspoken about like what he sees as ethical. We see it in Vengeance on Varos, we see it in Revelation of the Daleks. Like, he's very outspoken of anything to do with Syl in general. He clearly has a moral code, which is why it goes in such contrast to the fact that he oftentimes, both in his growth from his post-regeneration, but also whenever the writers get lazy, treats Perry like crap. Which is funny because he's such a morally... Like, he has such moral conviction. And yet he thinks it's okay to call her fat and all this other stuff. And the last one I have, which I didn't realise until I really thought about it, is he's very... I mean, brave is not the right word I want. He is brave. But he's very physically assertive. Do you know? And I gave the example in The Two Doctors of how he really contrasts with Patrick, because there's a scene where they're going down into like the wine cellar or whatever the fuck it was. And normally, and he's with Jamie, and normally the second Doctor would make Jamie go first. Because Jamie is the like brawn in that particular dynamic. Whereas here, the Sixth Doctor insisted on going first. He's always the first to put himself into the physical thing. I think part of that is sort of them trying to write to Colin, because Colin's a very physical person anyway. And he does physical stuff quite well without it becoming slapstick.
Yeah.
Like Mark of the Rani is probably a really good example of that, with him strapped to the
gurney.
The gurney thing or whatever. But he is very physically assertive. And that comes across in many different ways. It's also one of the reasons why people don't like him. Because he is physically assertive. He stands up for himself and will fight for himself, resulting in some guy being thrown into an acid bath. Or he will pick up the gun and use it, or at least have intent to use it. if he's in a situation that requires it. And I know a lot of people don't like that about him. And there was one incident in particular, I can't remember what episode it was, where he said, like, oh, you know how I abhor violence. And we're like, dude, fucking seriously?
Okay.
I think it was Time Lash, maybe, that he said it. I was like, hello? Yeah. Like, the last 3 weeks are calling and they want to know what the hell you're on about. But I think it's actually, I mean, violence for the sake of violence is bad.
Mm-hmm.
But being willing to stand up and physically defend yourself and others is good.
Yeah.
And personally, I see it as a strength.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly when we had the wet blanket that was Peter Davison.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Fifth Doctor was not physically assertive in the fucking slightest. He wasn't present in the moment, and he also didn't put himself forward. He was not the one taking risk, whereas Colin's Doctor is always the one taking risk. Usually to protect Perry. And I know we said that he sometimes treats her like crap, and we said after Twin Dilemma that if that was you or me, we probably would have fucking left, because, you know, no one deserves to be treated the way Perry was in the Twin Dilemma. But he does really care for her in his own really weird way. And it comes across in that physical assertiveness, because it is often in defense of Perry or to distract so Perry can do something else. Do you know? Which I really like. How about you? What did you think his strengths were?
So, the good to go with the bad, and I don't know where to start with this one. I will have to say that, yes, no. What I have to say is, like, I have to take Colin's performance as a separate thing, because just nailed it on the first go in Twin Dilemma, and just continually brought his A game. And like I said, like, no matter how bad the material, Colin always brings his best. He doesn't phone in any performance. And I think because of that, the Sixth Doctor feels like a classic Doctor, if you get me. Like, he just
is.
Yeah, he just is. Like, I know that we have to kind of go back, but like, when Peter came in, like, in Peter's first episode, he had this, like, or he didn't even his first, definitely in Castrovalva, and I think one or two maybe onwards, he did kind of have that true line a small bit. Whereas I think Colin had it the whole time. Like, he had them all in that side of things. And the reason he also feels like a classic Doctor is because he's very hands-on with the sciencey and techie stuff. Like, he didn't have his own science screwdriver, I don't think, but he's always there, like, tinkering around. And like, there's that episode where he's ripping wall panels out because to try and fix the TARDIS mid-flight, and he's super technical. And like, even in Time Lash, like when he's building that time displacer unit, like, he's a techie bro, which is awesome. He's great with the villains. Like, every villain encounter that he's had, he doesn't have the same amount of, like, great standout speeches, but all his encounters with the big bad of the story are great. Because you get to see, like, as you said, like, his moral stance, his moral outrage. You get to see his not vindictiveness, but his vindication, or there's a vin something word, which is like which basically means, like, that he stands by his convictions. And like, he's so cutting with some of, like, the way that his interaction with Davros is brilliant. Like, the fake out handshake to the blow it off hand is brilliant. It's so good. He's incredibly intelligent, as you said, absolutely, and he loves to show it off. But especially as well when he gets to be a fanboy, like in the episode for Mark and the Rani, and he's like going, "Oh my God, George Stevenson and all these guys are going to be here. This is awesome!" So I like that. I really, really did. No, I talked about the rough aspects of the relationships with Mel and Perry, but here's the smooth part of it, which is I like his interactions with the two of them for the most part.
Mm.
Like with Mel, we're seeing the finished building essentially, and like Terror of the Vervoids, which may or may not come up, they've got a great dynamic there. They really do. And even in Ultimate Foe, for as crap as that was, their parts together are really, really good. And so yeah, the finished building, lovely, beautiful, lovely facade, lovely, like lobby area, all that kind of jazz. But you get to see the foundation of that building in his relationship with Perry.
Mm.
And if you ignore the fucking weird setbacks from after Mark of Rani onwards, you get to see this great thing of where, look, you have the twin dilemma, which is like the start of it's the unearthly child of Colin's Run.
Mm.
And then you have like Attack of the Cybermen and Vengeance on Varos and Mark of the Rani, where it just grows and grows, and he's showing Perry the universe, and he's educating her with stuff, and he's trying to like bring her like all these great experiences, and the genuine moments of friendship between the two of them. And we talked before about Perry's compassion and her always giving him the benefit of the doubt. There's a reason for that, and that's because the Doctor, not in a sort of like a kind of like beaten partner type way, but she's like he
comes good.
He comes good, and he's not always mean to her. And obviously, we know that there is like related adventures in between, and this, that, and the other, and there's not always like a life or death situation. So they have their great moments. But he will always come to her defense. He will always come to rescue her, and he will always think of her, which is good.
Now, one thing I left out actually, and I can't believe I left it out, is that he has great trust in her.
Yep.
Again, I think it was Time Lash.
Mm.
Again, people are going to be sure I do not remember. We've recorded this run over a very long period of time.
Yeah.
Longer than most. Where he's like, if you get to Perry will make sure you get home.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's Time
Perry
with H.G. West.
Perry, who most people would say, oh, she wouldn't even know how to work the TARDIS, but no, she had a thing in Cybermen, and then clearly they worked that out in the background between Cybermen and Time Lash, and the fact that he just trusts her implicitly, as like, if anything goes wrong, go to Perry, she'll fucking take care of this. You be grand, and you're like, Joss, Time Lash was weird, but
yeah,
that was good.
Yeah, so it's very easy. I think so for our regular listeners, you can see that it's very easy for us to rank Colin. Why we rank Colin's colleagues we did. For those of you that are new to it, again, hello. Myself and Tricia are very character orientated people.
Yes.
So like when we see obviously look, there's no character that's out and out absolute awesome. Although Trish would say that Beverly Crusher is the exception to that rule. But anyway.
Sorry, Jane. Hello.
Yeah.
Duh.
But it's great to see like that there's these amazing characters out there that despite their flaws, they're still engaging in great characters, and the Sixth Doctor is definitely one of them. Yeah. Now though, on to the second half of this episode, which is the episode ranking. So normally how this works, because as Trish pointed out, this is going to be slightly different. Normally how it works is we pick our worst 3 stories, going from least worst to worst. So bronze, silver, gold, and gold in this instance is bad. And then we have our best stories, which is bronze, silver, gold, with this case gold being good. Now, Trish did the intro about the socials, so she gets to go first. So tell me, what stories have you picked for the worst aspects of the Sixth Doctor?
Okay. So I said this is very difficult. And it's true.
Mm-hmm.
It was very difficult. Because there's something that you mentioned when you were talking about the strengths and weaknesses that I find very hard to do, which is to separate Colin's performance from how the Sixth Doctor did in the story.
Oh, yeah.
Because Colin... But the reason why is I don't want to exclude his performance. Because Colin is the Doctor.
Yeah.
In such a way that had you put a different actor in there, the story wouldn't have worked as well. But that's because they're not the Sixth Doctor. He is. Do you know what I mean? So I didn't do as much removal of the performance as maybe you did, because Colin's performance is a very big part of what makes the Sixth Doctor the Sixth Doctor.
I think I did it more so for like the strengths and weaknesses of the character aspect of it, as opposed to the thing. But yeah.
So in terms of worst episodes, it was really hard. I did come up with 3.5 ish.
Okay.
I shall tell you what they were, and then we'll see what yours were, and we'll explore on. So, in no particular order, because I actually couldn't do the worst thing. It was struggling with me. But maybe as we go through discussion, maybe they'll fall into a natural thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have Mind Warp,
mm-hmm.
Time Lash,
mm-hmm.
Revelation of the Daleks, and The Ultimate Foe. The one that is definitely deserving of a spot there, in my opinion, is the fucking Ultimate Foe, right?
Yeah.
The other 3, I have varying reasons as to why.
Mm-hmm.
They mostly go back to character, though, and kind of some of the stuff that we were talking about with strengths and weaknesses. So Ultimate Foe is a definite, and the other 3 are kind of, again, they're kind of mood based. Do you know?
Mm-hmm.
Mind Warp, Time Lash, and Revelation. How about you? What did you have?
So, again, I
would love if you had 3 completely fucking different episodes.
No, because that would mean that Colin has a very bad run. No, so similar enough, I found it hard to put these into any particular order. But the 3 that I have picked are Time Lash, Revelation of the Daleks, and the 2 Doctors.
2 Doctors was on my list originally.
I didn't pick Mind Warp for the fact that in the adventure aspect of it, for a fair amount of it, the Doctor isn't under his own power. So episodes where the character isn't who they normally are, I don't kind of put them into the thing because...
Yeah. See, I was thinking this, right?
Yeah.
The reason why I did put it in, though, is because as a story, they never fucking explained if it was the Matrix, if it was the manipulation of Syl's doctor friend, or what.
Mm-hmm.
And because they didn't explain, I think it makes it a bad Sixth Doctor story. Because, yes, he's not acting like himself, but we don't know why.
That's fair. That's fair. I suppose for myself, I just wanted the more cut and dried ones because I think they're easier. But like, see, and like if we're going to go with Colin's performance, I can't push the Mind Warp into like a bad one because like he's got just some amazing parts where like Brian Blessed is about to charge it and he just calls out, "Look behind you," and it just like very casually toddles off, and I'm like, no, I can't fault that at all. Yeah. What I can fault is when the character is no, there's a running theme between the 3 that I have picked. So that is why I find it hard to give them definitive rankings. But yeah.
Is it because of the way he treats Barry?
Yep, pretty much.
I have the same. I would argue.
Yes.
In my head.
Yeah.
I would. See, this is weird. Time Lash and Revelation of the Daleks for me.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, I was like, no, Time Lash. Time Lash is the worst because not only does he treat Perry like crap, there's like all the sniping in the TARDIS, which was settled once they get out of the TARDIS, and he does have that comeback later on where he clearly trusts her. But the way he is with the Borat, or whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah, the Borat.
Where he's like, basically goes on about how ugly he is, and no one can ever love him. And I'm like, you're not saying like, oh, you think no one can love you because you're ugly on the outside, but it's because you're rotten on the inside. No, he just says, no one could love you. Have you fucking looked in a mirror? And I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Like,
I do remember our conversation starting that. All right. Yeah.
So
he has feelings.
I'd put Time Lash higher because, like, as in lower, more worse.
Yeah.
Because of that. However, on the other side, for Revelation, he's really, I don't like his dynamic with Perry and Revelation, but he's also not in it that much.
No. And like, again, his dynamic with Perry at the end, like in part 1, it's awful. In part 2, it's good. But we only get to, like, is there like 5, at most 10 minutes of screen time with the Doctor and Perry in the first episode, which is 45 minutes long. So they've got 10 minutes, and most of it is him just being an asshole and calling her fat.
Yep.
So yeah, I think I honestly don't know where to put it higher, because like one part of it is like going, oh, well, like he's only in it for he's only in it for such a short amount of time. Yeah, but in that time, it's pretty much just all like, there's the compassionate moment where he's like kind of consoling her for the fact that she killed someone, and he's like going, you technically did a nice thing for that guy. Because, just to remind people, the guy was in horrible fucking amount of pain and he wanted to die. So, yeah, it's like euthanasia. But then it's like going back to calling her fat. It's like, just fucking stop it. The pair of you, like, she's not fat, you're not fat. Okay, you put on a couple of pounds since the previous season, but fuck off. Yeah, so you could make the argument that, like, even with the time you got, you still didn't really do fucking great thing. But then again, you got the whole second episode, which kind of counteracts that a small bit. So yeah, maybe Revelation would be on the lower side of things. I do get your point on the Borat. I just because it's you and I talking about it, I kind of find it funny because of the whole thing of going, he's got feelings. There's nothing to be so mean about it.
Like, yes, he's the villain, but like, he's not the villain because he's ugly. What the fuck?
Yeah, but see, it's very hard to feel kind of sympathy. Like, it's very hard to feel sympathy from the Doctor when the Doctor starts making fun of his appearance, when he essentially just wanted to fucking turn Perry into a breeding cow. You know,
this is all very true, but the problem is, the Doctor had so many comebacks he could have used, and he went with, "You're ugly." I'm like, I'm sorry. There's so many ways you could have torn this man down and shown how Perry will never ever love him. And you went with, when a woman looks at you and screams, it's over. And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
It's just the way they were saying it there. It just reminds me of like the Naked Gun 2, when Drebin meets Robert Goulet's character, and he's like going, I'm pretty sure we can like have a mature conversation, just like the civilized adults we are. Isn't that right, Mr. Poopy Pants? Yeah.
It was just such a childish fucking comment. And I'm like, I mean, we just talked about in his strengths that he's so intelligent and that he's so verbose. You're ugly. She doesn't like you because you're ugly. I mean, I called her fat, but that's just the point.
Oh, God. I don't know. I kind of want to put it into the best now because it's so fucking funny.
Okay, but then you had the two Doctors and I had the Ultimate Foe. I'll tell you why I didn't pick the two Doctors. I had considered it, because I do not think very highly of the two Doctors in general. But I went with the Ultimate Foe because I kind of liked the Sixth Doctor and Jamie. And I liked their dynamic.
Yeah.
And the Ultimate Foe was just a giant heaping pile of garbage that you can just skip and move on with your life.
But is that a bad episode with a good Doctor in it?
No, because the Doctor isn't written very well in it either, I don't think.
Mm.
Do you know? It's not a good Doctor episode.
No, even though he is one of the best things in it.
Yeah, but like,
yeah, that's not
like
to sue.
and this is again, people who've been around for a long time are probably like, they have this just debate every fucking time. Can a bad story can a bad story in general be a good story for a character? Yes. Can a bad story in general have good performance? Yes. Can a bad story also be bad for a character because it's a bad story? I think yes. It's his last fucking story, and it's shit. Like, I gave it a 1. Most of that was the Ballards and Master and the really shitty plot, but he got a 1. Why did you pick the 2 Doctors?
I think it's like, so again, I love the dynamic with Jamie, and I talked before about like how Colin's got a very swashbuckly nature to him, but it's just like he gives out to Perry so much at the start. It's like these really stupid. And look, hey, they get some great moments later on. She's like, I don't know Spanish, neither do they. Just like, but I think it's primarily the first episode where I didn't know, I didn't listen to our conversation surrounding it, but I remember having it in my notes. And it's another thing where like he blames her freaking out, and that's why he gets gassed in the first episode. And it's like no, it's like she saw something. Stop fucking. And plus, like there was like Jamie being really creepy under a cape, and it was like, okay, whatever about. I remember like whatever about like being disorientated, but it's the weird fucking sound he makes as he fucking throws himself on Perry. And like you've got the Doctor like saying, "It's like no, you just weren't paying attention. It's not the fact that fucking Perry screamed out. It was like, yeah, that's really blaming someone else for you kind of, putting your foot in a mop bucket, shall we say." But yeah, so and as you say, look, the 2 Doctors wasn't the best anyway, but that was, I'm trying to think, yeah, like that was the first time where it was like, oh man, they've really regressed the relationship, like, because like that's the story where she calls him an asshole, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, she didn't call him an asshole out loud, for anyone who's wondering.
Yeah, no, she mouths it, like, but it's very blatantly. And who can blame her?
Yeah, I think something to take away is the fact that we are laughing through all of this. Meaning they're bad, but I mean, with the exception of The Ultimate Foe, which is a shit episode anyway. You can still watch them and you can still have fun with them.
Like, is that our lowest rated Colin story?
Foe? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The next one after that was Revelation with Alex, which we both agreed. It was largely because he wasn't really in it.
Yeah. And that was a 2, was it?
Yeah. You gave Time Lash a 2, and then we had the 2 Doctors, which we both gave a 2.5.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. So, okay, I've changed my mind since we started this like an hour ago.
Yeah.
Now that we've talked a bit,
yeah,
I'm going to call out some episodes I think are really good.
Go for it.
But I'm not going to rank them.
Okay.
So, from a 6th Doctor point of view, and if you really want to watch the 6th Doctor and understand the character, I do think Twin Dilemma needs to be on your list. Because it explains a whole lot about what the fuck is the general public talking about when they give out about him. But also, it shows where the 6th Doctor is coming. Like I said, that really violent regeneration. And his dynamic with Perry, and why sometimes it goes fucking weird. Do you know? That all goes back to Twin Dilemma. And I don't think, like, I know, like, I've done it again where I have the first and last story mentioned in the thing. And I don't do that on purpose, right? But when the first story is a fucking banger for the character, I have to call it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening back to what we were saying, and I was literally viscerally remembering it. Watching Colin in like his first episode, he just fucking nailed it. So I think the example I gave at the time was like the Obi-Wan Kenobi, like, hello there.
Yeah.
Like, that's it, and yes, it has a million problems. Fucking strangling Perry, paramount to one of them.
Yeah.
But I think you can't sleep on the twin dilemma.
No.
The other ones that I have on my list as well are Mark of the Rani,
Mm-hmm.
Cybermen,
Mm-hmm.
and Varos kind of comes and goes.
Mm-hmm.
What did you pick?
So, my number 3 is firmly Attack of the Cybermen.
Cool.
The next 2 are kind of flip-flopping on my mood.
Cool.
But it's Vengeance on Varos and also Terror of the Vervoids.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Let's do Cybermen first.
Okay.
Actually, no, I'll talk about Mark of the Rani first, because you didn't have Mark of the Rani on your list.
No, I thought about it, but yeah.
I mean, bearing in mind, right, Colin has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He has 11 episodes, right? We didn't have exactly a whole lot to pick up. Mark of the Rani, for me, again, it gives that little bit. I always love, and Colin does it so well. And it's weird because their writing for him is often so shit, as we've discussed, and yet Colin finds these nuggets. Mark of the Rani, for me, in many ways, we get to see the little boy. Do you know, you'd said it at the time when we were discussing it. He's so excited to meet all these scientists, and he gets really into it. The sort of trio conversations with the Rani, the Master, and the Doctor, they're so good and they're so fun. A lot of that, not gonna lie, is the Rani.
Oh yeah.
But he's right there playing it with her, like, do you know what I mean?
Like the bit where he's strapped on the table and she's like, between you and the Master, curse the pair of you. I was going, oh, yes, so good.
But I think it's really fun episode because it's an episode where the Doctor is the one in peril. He gets strapped to the table. He gets carried off by the fucking tree thingamabob.
Yeah.
Like, he's the one in peril a lot of the time. And we have Perry trying to save him. But, like, it's just this boyish nature that, again, coming off the back of Twin Dilemma, Cybermen, and Barrows, it was really refreshing. And also, to your point, their dynamic had kind of reached what we thought was, okay, here we are. We've landed. And then the 2 Doctors happened. But, we've landed at, like, the Mark of the Rani was their Marco Polo, or, whatever. So I really liked it. I do like your ones as well, though.
Yeah.
So why don't we do Cyberman? You said Cyberman was in your number 3 spot, right?
Yeah, I did say Cyberman.
Yeah. So why did you put Cyberman in your 3 spot?
So there's a couple of reasons, and one is it's a great bit of acting and camera work, because you talked about him being physically assertive. And it's this amazing scene where him and Perry are in the scrapyard, and that cop, like the fake policeman, comes up from the hole in the ground with the gun. And the Doctor, just in one lovely fluid motion, kicks the gun, hits your man in the head, and then dives into the hole after him, and then comes up wearing the policeman's bobby hat. Yeah. And just like, but it's just like the fluid smoothness of it. It's so casual. It's like the classic kind of like, it's like the Venusian Aikido without the heavy shouting. As that brought back, like, that the Doctor can be physical if he needs to be. And it's just that, and then the musical, the kind of jaunty little musical sting when he comes up wearing the hat, and Perry's just there going. It was just great. I thought it was a really, really good thing. Then, but his interactions with Perry as they're trying to find the source of the signal, and like, you know, she's like calling out about the fact that he, like, you keep calling me by these other people's names, and then he remembers, and he's like going, oh yeah, oh, she wasn't very nice, that type of thing. But what I also love about the episode is we get to see the anger of the Doctor, especially with Lytton. And we talked before about how like Perry kind of held it against him. It's like, oh, but you don't know the whole story. Like you don't. And also, Lytton ain't doing himself any favors by trying to get like one up on the Doctor in terms of that type of shit. So no. But the Doctor with Flast, you know, the bit where she says that she would sacrifice herself so that he can get out, and he doesn't want to do it. And, and the fact that he feels that he's been manipulated by the Time Lords, and that bit where he just looks up to the sky and he goes, right now, I'm very angry, Time Lord, you know? His interaction with her, his interaction with Lytton throughout the story, and then when he sees Lytton cyberized and Lytton, you know, helps him defeat the Cyber Leader and a few Cybermen, and he's just like, why the fuck didn't you tell me? A full range of emotions and aspects of the Doctor that I think are really good. And like the Attack of the Cybermen could easily be a #1 story. Really good. I don't know, like maybe it's just that inner reluctance I have to put, like, you know, like the first story I do put them in at times, but I said maybe I kind of put them at the bottom end because, you know, I like to give the later stories their chance to breathe. But this is, and I said it at the time, like, this is why it's going to be a difficult rambling, because you had Twin Dilemma, which, as we said, do not sleep on it. It's a great opening performance from Colin. But you had this one then where it's like going, oh yeah, like this is a great Doctor performance from Colin.
Yeah. I will say that like Cyberman is our highest ranked Colin story, where we both gave it a 4.
Yeah.
You also gave Varos a 4. I gave Varos 2.5. We both gave Cyberman a 4. And like Cyberman, it is really good.
It's really good. It's one of the better of the Cybermen stories.
Yeah. Then we both had Varos.
Yes.
And you had Vervoids. I'm going to be really before we get into Varos and Vervoids, are we saying so that the mysterious planet is it's the middle ground? So, it's the only one we haven't. Neither of us have mentioned.
Yeah. I think it's middle ground. I think it is.
But so are we using Mysterious Planet as like our benchmark for where is average for the Sixth Doctor?
Do you know what? I'm going to treat it as not the middle ground, but as a sort of a abandon hope, all ye who pass this point type thing. that type of a thing. Obviously not as serious as that, but that's where it's like going, oh cool, here's where the roller coaster starts to really go down. Yeah, so it's a perfectly fine intro to a story that had a lot of promise and didn't live up to it, but I'm sure that's beside the point. But yeah, there it is. It's a good story.
Yeah. Okay, so let's double back around. So do you want to do Vervoids or Varos first?
I'll do Vervoids because then we can both go on Varos. So I talked before about Vervoids. We had the benefit of the Doctor with an established relationship with the companion. And we don't need to go on that journey with them. Maybe one day it would be nice to see that journey. But it would have slowed the pace down, absolutely. And it worked for what we got. And the trial aspects of it. So, in terms of the trial aspects of that story, it's got one good moment. And that's when the Doctor comes back after dealing with the trauma of Perry's death. And he doesn't really talk about it, he doesn't really reference it, but the physical performance Colin does it's great. And then, you get a lot of the same old bullshit of like going, oh, look what you did there, Doctor. Fuck off. Look what you did there, Doctor. Fuck off. Look what you did there. I told you to fuck off. And the Honor, they go, I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'll stop telling him to fuck off. But the story itself is great because it's a classic Doctor Who, Philip Hinchcliffe era whodunit mystery. He has a great relationship with Mel. He's casual, charming, not quite flirting, but banter with, is it Janet, the concierge at the start, trying to get like that information is great. His deductive reasoning, his investigations is fantastic. Putting up with those trio of scientific idiots. The one dumb thing he does in that story is eat one of those hydroponic seeds that he finds out is actually technically an alien life form. Like, that never comes home to roost. But his interactions with the captain of the ship, whose name I cannot remember now at the moment, but it's like they've had a previous interaction off screen before, and their relationship is not great. But it's like this sort of the Doctor knowing that the captain's trying to use him as a Judas goat, so he's pretending not to know it, even though he does know it, so he plays into being the Judas goat. It's brilliant 4D chess by the Doctor throughout the whole thing. And at the end, what really kind of at times could tip it into the number one spot is that wonderful moral question about how to deal with the Vervoids.
Yeah.
Because the Doctor is like emphatically saying it is not their fault that it is the way that they are, but because they're the way they are, the galaxy is in great danger. And then you have the Commodore understanding that, but is saying like, we've got to put the rest of the galaxy first. And like, for anybody that likes the kind of social messaging, moral conundrum aspect of Doctor Who, Terror of the Vervoids, definitely a way to go for you. Absolutely.
Yeah. I do think Vervoids is really good. I'm trying to remember what I said at the time. I think I compared it a lot to the Fourth Doctor Seeds story.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of
Seeds
overlap between them. Well, I agree with you. And I think it's an interesting story because we see the Doctor X amount of time in the future. We don't really know how far in the future he is with Mel. And then we have the fucking, in the courtroom, the Doctor of the now.
Yeah.
It's interesting how Colin played them as not distinctly different, but watching, you can tell this is a future version of the Doctor. Not the least of which I just had something enter my brain that I need to tell you, because I can't remember if we said it at the time. I may have done, but I'm going to say it now. I can't remember what episode it was where I made a joke about the Doctor stroking his pussy, because he has a little cat lapel pin.
Yep.
Something really interesting that they did in Vervoids was the cat lapel pin he wears in the courtroom is different to the cat lapel pin he wears in the Terror of the Vervoids story itself. Because actually, the lapel pin changed from one episode to the next for his entire run.
Yep.
And at one point, they actually had lapel pins of his cats.
Oh, his actual cats.
Colin's actual cats.
Because didn't he get the first one at like some like little antique thing that he saw?
Yeah, so the first one was like, it was just an ornament, and then they decided that he'd change it up every time. And they all had names. And he had two cats at the time, so two of them were actually his cats that they had made into like lapel pin form. But it's interesting because like in that one in particular, it's a future version of him. So the thing he's wearing is different.
I just think you're going to start buying the replicas of those cat pins now, aren't you?
No, I have enough. But my Star Trek pin collection, I think, is...
Honestly, when you were talking about like the joke of him stroking his pussy, I thought you were going to make an Honor Blackman joke because she's in that story.
But then I agree with you that Vervoids is very good. Again, I think Mark of the Rani, just for the fun of it, probably peaked it in my brain.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. But again,
But
I put that down to like Kate Mara as
yeah,
Kate Ormar.
she's so good.
Yeah, she's great.
But also, like, if you're someone who found the Dr. Perry relationship difficult to watch, because we said that, like, if you're someone who comes from a certain background or you're particularly sensitive to certain topics, their relationship can feel a bit like an abusive relationship. So for the contrast of the relationship we see with Mel, where the one who abuses the doctor because she will not let him let up on having his carrot juice and all this other shit, which is just hilarious, is very refreshing to see.
Yeah.
And it's not that like, oh look, the doctor's finally being nice. No, the doctor was always nice. It's just him and Perry had a very rocky start for a very understandable reason. And him and Mel didn't have that same start. So they get to just have fun.
Yep, absolutely.
But then we have Varos.
Yes.
Which we both had on our list. So, do you want to go first?
No, you go first.
So, Vengeance on Varos for me, I think, is a very interesting one because it's one of the ones that people pull out and refer to when they talk about how the Sixth Doctor is callous, the Sixth Doctor is violent, and whatever. And this is where, and I don't mean to sound like I'm up my own hole, this is where I wonder if these people have any fucking media literacy whatsoever. Because the incident in question is the acid bath. And we said it at the time. One guard falls in of his own fucking accord. He pulls the other one down. The doctor, he's fighting for his life, and it ends with the guard falling in. And then he has the quip, "You'll forgive me if I don't join you." It's dark humour, and like there's this apparent lack of remorse, but actually it just reminds you of the quips that the younger doctors had. But like in terms of the story as a whole, you know, this is where that strong moral compass really comes to the fore. You know, 110%. The way that he outwits the governor and the chief officer, we're seeing his intelligence on full display. The way he tricks the chief officer into raising the heat level, which ultimately, you know, leads to the whole downfall of the whole thing. And we do get to see again this development of character from where he was before. So while he is still kind of brash and whatever, he is also so committed to justice. He is so committed to freeing the people of Varos from the oppression that they're under. Showing that while he is different, you know, while he is more abrasive, he still fights for the oppressed. And like, again, if you're someone who's like, oh, I don't know, I've heard mixed things about him. I mean, I think I said Twin Dilemma, I think you should watch it for context. But if you don't want to watch Twin Dilemma, you're like, no, like, you know, I don't want the context. Like, you know, in his main run though, isn't he still? It's like, no, fucking watch it, because Varos shows that that's not what he's like. Do you know? And the ways that he is like, what this fucking public opinion is no different to any other doctor. Literally none. I think you gave the example when we were talking this episode of Tom's character once dropped a fucking grenade down someone's pants and let them wander off and blow up.
Or Patrick redirecting a ice wire fleet into the fucking sun.
Hello. But I think Varos, particularly for the early, like, I think Cybermen and Varos could probably chop and change. But I think for me, Varos just sort of tips it a small bit. I think it's because we don't see him with Leighton. You know? it's a little bit more black and white, which is sometimes a bit easier to get on board. What about you? Why did you put Varos on your list?
So again, one part of it that sticks out is another wonderful performance camera work sync up. It's when they're when he's leading the two other prisoners through the tunnels, and there's the hallucination in front, and he just stops and he puts out the hand up into the air, and there's just that defiant look on his face. I was like, that's the type of thing that you'd see on like a Big Finish album cover. Like, just like, that's presence, that's authority, that's the fucking Doctor, you know? No, again, look, there's a bit of like the fucking moaning Minnie at the start when they're trapped, or like when the TARDIS stops working and he's like, oh, we're trapped here forever, we'll never get out of this void, blah blah blah, and then he realizes, oh wait, no, there's a fucking out, hurrah. But it's as you say, like, it's the moral disgust at like how Varus operates, and the sort of like, you have to be, he's like, you have to admire in a horrified sort of way the system that you've created in terms of like, oh well, the security chief will never be elected to be the governor, and like if the governor fucks up enough, and then there's the whole thing with that scientist Quilliam, and like you can tell like the doctors are going like, you're not, you're a thing, you're not human. Like there's just like this fucking reprehension. Like Syl is more of a fucking human being than you are, like, you know. And then like there's this thing with Syl is just like, again, absolute horror at him. I liked his interactions with the governor, kind of trying to make the governor see reason and trying. Ultimately, it's Perry's aspect of the story, but the Doctor has his bits in it as well. And I like the bit with like the quick escape from the execution platform. Like it's just, we talked about this attack of the Cybermen being the way to kind of like, oh yeah, here he is, absolutely, like get used to him. Vengeance is like that lovely little part 3 to that, you know.
Yeah,
like you talked before about how Mark of the Rani is our Marco Polo. Obviously less scissors and maniacal camera work. Fucking, this is our Edge of Destruction, you know?
I would actually nearly swap them around. I think Mark of the Rani is the equivalent of Marco Polo.
Yeah.
But I would nearly put Varos as like Keys of Marinus or something like that. In terms of,
do it afterwards.
Yeah. In terms of like the feel and the vibe comparatively.
Yeah.
I think Marco Polo kind of lines up a bit more vibe wise with like where the characters are with Mark of the Rani.
Yeah.
Whereas this lines up a bit more with Marinus. But yeah, I think the thing that I would use to sum up Varos is, again, you know, conscious of the fact that a lot of people, some of whom have no fucking clue what they're talking about, shit on Colin's run, right? If you want a Collins story, it's like, I just want to watch Doctor Who. I just want to watch Doctor Who. Varos is the one. Yep. If you want to just a Doctor Who story that you don't really need a whole lot of background, you don't need to know what came before it. Like, you don't need to know that, you know, Perry knew the Master already. You don't need to know any of that. You just want a standalone Doctor Who story where you get to see what Colin's Doctor is like. Varos is probably the best example of that. Because you don't need any other context going into it.
No, absolutely. Like, because the only other story that doesn't have a legacy character or a legacy storyline to it is Time Lash, and I would stay away from. I would stay away from Time Lash.
Of the two,
yeah,
Varos. Go with Varos.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, with that being said, so we've come to our thing. This is normally the point where we would rank Colin, but we've already done that because you were impatient.
Yes.
I'm curious, obviously, you had seen Colin's stories going in, and you had said you'd already been a fan of him going in. Having reviewed it now, over, yes, I'm aware, the longest period of time for the shortest number of episodes, what do you think about Colin's legacy?
I think I think I have a kind of a good bit to say about that, because I've said repeatedly that Colin had every right to walk away from this franchise. Absolutely every right. He had the deck stacked against him in terms of a showrunner that put himself above the show a bit, in terms of like, well, like, oh, I have to be on the Comic-Con panels, and like I want to put all these big things, because I'm a big Panto guy, so I want to put in these aspects of Panto, and I want to bring in trying to equate. Oh, when you think of Doctor Who, you think of John Nathan Turner. And that's kind of the way, but not knowing that he wanted it. But Colin's legacy was that, I think in a way it's kind of tied to Big Finish, because everyone says, oh, well, Big Finish gave Colin the new lease of life. But I think Colin's Doctor helped solidify Big Finish in the sort of like going, oh, I want more Doctor Who stories from my favorite Doctors. I can go to them because their quality is really good, and their writing, their acting, and their performances, and everything is so good. So there was a symbiotic pairing to that. So I think Colin's legacy is that a proper showcase that the Doctor isn't an actual White Knight. He is not a White Knight. And people gloss over that with Tom, with Peter, with John, and now thanks to the BBC iPlayer and the advent of more streaming services and more actual physical media, people are starting to see Bill and Pat as well. And again, it's like, if you're watching it properly, the Doctor is not a White Knight. The Doctor is, he's a good guy, but he's not squeaky clean. And Colin's Doctor was a solidification of that aspect. It was maybe it was a bit too in your face for people. Fair enough. That's fine. But it was like the solidification of the fact, but it also showed that even with that, he's still someone you can get behind and you can still root for. And I think in one sense that I would love to have picked Colin and put him under Hinchcliffe, just to see what sort of equality you'd get with that side of things.
I think Barry could have also been a good one for him.
Barry could have been good. Verity could have been a good one. Like, because, they were a bit more Flash Gordon spacefaring adventure under Verity, but they tackled some very good themes. And I think Colin's Doctor would have been very interesting in those aspects of it. I think his legacy is that, like, it has probably not the popular opinion, but Colin's legacy is that if I had been watching it at the time, or not even if I'd been watching it at the time, if this had been my first run through of it, Colin is the person that brought me back into the show.
Yeah.
Because I think I may have made the comment about it before, but and if I didn't, I'll make it now, kind of like brutally honest. I struggled getting through Peter's era, because if this is your first time listening to us, if you go back and listen to the format of the show, I watch the stories and I write the recaps of the episodes so that we can do the quick summary overlap. My enthusiasm for each of those episodes wasn't there a whole lot. And I never wanted this podcasting experience with you, to feel like a task for either of us. I think maybe for Peter's run a small bit, maybe it did, because we said, look, we've got to power through this. Because I knew that for me, there was gold over the hill. For you, I was hoping for it. But another aspect of Colin's legacy is that it brought me back and it made me happy again. And I am sad that he got rough treatment that he did and the bums rushed out the door. But that paved the way for Sylvester to come in. And I like Sylvester, but it definitely has, and plus and going back to Big Finish, I have a love of audio drama, like full cast readings of stuff and like those stories. With my love of Colin, I really now want to actively go out and try and get as many of those things as possible, because fuck me, Colin Baker was a great Doctor. How about you?
Cool. So for me, like we've made the point several times that I hadn't seen any Colin stories. And even his story with Jodie came after I'd met him.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my biggest regrets is that having met him, that I met him without having seen his stories.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I'd love to sit and chat to him about them. And I'd love to say to him, and if I ever get to meet him again, which hopefully at some point I will, but if I ever get to meet him again, it will be a case of, I heard the general consensus, fuck him, you were great. You are great and you were great. Because Colin is such, and you said this yourself, he's such an advocate for the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
He really, really is. And he's clearly a fan of it.
Oh, yeah.
And like I remember specifically when Jodie was announced, he was one of the first, if not the first, to come out and support her. I think he was definitely the first classic Doctor to come out and support her. And defend her very aggressively. From
other classic Doctors. Or
from other classic Doctors as well. But also from fans. Like,
yeah.
I told the story, like at conventions, he loved seeing, or loves seeing, I assume it's still the same, I assume it hasn't changed since that time, seeing little girls dressed as the 13th Doctor. And he would speak to them as if they were the Doctor, and it was the best ever. So I really wanted to like his stories.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think we did speak about this back when we were talking about Twin Dilemma, but it had become a bit of a chore watching Peter stuff. And again, we just personally didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right? And the idea of, for fuck's sake, I have to watch this thing and then I have to fucking talk about it, whatever. At the end of Twin Dilemma, I was like, we're fucking back, baby. Fucking, the Doctor is back. We are good to go. And yeah, I know it still took us months to do 11 episodes. Life got in the way.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really glad that I liked him.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same as like when we were talking about Bill. And obviously I'd seen some of Bill's stuff because I'd gone back to watch some of Ian and Barbara's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But getting to watch all of Bill and go, actually, Bill's kind of my favorite. I love that I got to have that with Colin. And I love that, hopefully, since his return in Jodie Whittaker's run, I hope more people have gone back to watch his stuff, whether it's through DVDs or through the Blu-ray collections or an iPlayer or whatever medium, Pluto TV or whatever it is. Because he's really worth watching. And I think it's really sad that one of our strongest Doctors, and really someone who gave the strongest performance we'd seen in Doctor Who in nearly a decade. No offense to Tom, but we said Tom did kind of start phoning it in the latter years.
Mm-hmm.
Got such a short run. I think it's a fucking travesty. I'm so glad that they brought him back in Jodie's run. I agree with you. I do want to start going out and looking for Colin stuff on Big Finish. And yeah, I'm really glad I liked it.
Yeah.
For the sake of the podcast, I'm really glad I liked it. But also, I mean, you were so excited for me to watch him. I I didn't really think I was going to not like it.
Yeah.
Because you would have warned me that this was going to be a fucking tough going.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think Colin's a brilliant actor. I think the Sixth Doctor is probably of the character dynamic. Like, if I was to go by the most complex Doctor, it goes 1-6.
Yeah.
Straight away. All the rest of them don't really have the depth of character, the history, and the battle to become themselves that those two have. I do think one's is a bit more, is done a bit better.
Yeah.
But like, if you're looking for, I want to see a Doctor go through development, it's 1-6, fucking miles ahead of the other ones. And we're just gonna have to see. So, as we said, next time we are going to do an end of year / start of year, as in me and Paddy recorded by the end of the year, but you might get it at the beginning of the next year.
Yeah.
Little Q&A thing that we do with each other, where it's just it's our chance to talk about other stuff. Yeah. Really. I was talking to someone and they were like, "Oh, do you review the new episodes?" I'm like, "We will.
Yep.
When we fucking catch up." But that's going to be a while.
Yeah.
So it is a chance for us to often talk about newer stuff.
Yeah, because we have watched the new stuff, obviously.
We have watched it, yes.
We went to the cinema to see the finale for the most recent season.
We did.
Yeah.
It was the thing.
Yeah.
That I'm sure we'll talk about that next time.
Absolutely.
But it's also a chance for us to talk about other shite that's, on at the moment, and shoot the shit and whatever. And then after that, so probably airing for you guys around February time, we're going to be starting on the last of the classic episodic Doctors. I choose the word episodic so no one fucking corrects me.
Yeah. Episodic
Doctors, which is going to be Sylvester McCoy, who I already know I like.
Yes. So
it's good.
Yeah.
But whom I haven't seen his first few episodes.
That's right. You've only seen his last 2 seasons. You haven't seen his first season. But we know you like Mel, so that'll be interesting.
I'm really curious to see how their dynamic goes, because Mel is another person that I hadn't seen any of her stuff until New Who, and now I've gone back, which tends to be how I discover people, is I watch them in New Who first.
Yeah.
So.
Or in BBC Light Entertainment Star Search shows.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
But anyway, until next time.
Bye.